From the trenches of Europe to the jungles of the Pacific, American firepower relied on machine guns in every role. The heavy M1917, the versatile M19, and the .50 caliber Browning became core weapons, while the Thompson, the grease gun, and the bar armed the infantry. There were also some odd designs that never lived up to their promise. These are the American machine guns of World War II. The Browning M1917 was the Army's heavy machine gun of World War II, a design that dated back to World War I, but still delivered reliable firepower. It was a water-cooled 30-06 weapon, weighing over 100 pounds with its tripod and water jacket, and required a crew to operate. With a rate of fire around 450 rounds per minute, and the ability to keep firing as long as water and ammo were supplied, it was perfect for defense and sustained barrages. In Europe, it anchored US lines, laying down long lines of fire in Normandy hedgerows and across German strongpoints. Too heavy to move easily, it wasn't the most flexible gun, but when dug in, the M1917 was nearly unstoppable. The Browning M1919 was the standard medium machine gun of the US Army, lighter and more versatile than the old water-cooled M1917. Air-cooled and chambered in 30-06, it fired about 500 rounds per minute and weighed around 30 pounds without its tripod. More than 400,000 were produced in dozens of versions, mounted on tripods, jeeps, half-tracks, tanks, aircraft, and even landing craft. In North Africa, Italy, Normandy, and the Pacific, the M1919 gave infantry squads the sustained fire they needed, while also serving as a flexible mounted gun. It wasn't as mobile as the bar, but it proved reliable, deadly, and adaptable across every theater of the war. The Browning M2 .50 caliber was the heaviest and most feared American machine gun of the war. Designed by John Browning in the 1920s, it fired half-inch rounds at nearly 3,000 feet per second, tearing through vehicles, aircraft, and fortified positions. Weighing over 80 pounds with its tripod, it wasn't man-portable in the field, but it became the go-to weapon for jeeps, half-tracks, tanks, bombers, and fighters. With a rate of fire around 500 rounds per minute and a range of over a mile, the M2 gave American forces unmatched firepower. From defending bombers over Europe to ripping through Japanese bunkers in the Pacific, the Mar-Deuce became a legend. So effective, it's still in service today. The Thompson submachine gun was one of the most iconic US weapons of the war. Chambered in .45 ACP, it fired around 600 to 700 rounds per minute from 20 or 30 round magazines. It was heavy, nearly 11 pounds, but its close-range firepower made it a favorite in city fighting and jungle combat. Early in the war, paratroopers, Marines, and Rangers carried Thompsons, from the streets of Sicily to the island campaigns in the Pacific. Its cost and weight led to its replacement later in the war, but the Thompson left its mark as a hard-hitting, close-quarters weapon. M3 grease gun was the cheap, stamped steel answer to the Thompson. Introduced in 1942 and chambered in .45 ACP, it fired about 450 rounds per minute and weighed roughly 8 pounds. Simple to produce and easy to maintain, the M3 was quieter, lighter, and far cheaper than the Thompson, which made it ideal for mass issue late in the war. Paratroopers and support troops used it in Europe and the Pacific when close-range firepower was needed, and its low cost and ruggedness kept it in US service for years after the war. The Browning automatic rifle, or BAR, filled the squad automatic rifle role for US infantry. Chambered in .30 or it fired from a 20-round magazine at roughly 500 rounds per minute and weighed about 20 pounds. Introduced in World War I and improved between wars, the M1918A2 offered sustained portable fire that infantry units used to support assaults and hold positions. It was heavier and had less ammunition capacity than later light machine guns, but it gave squads a mobile base of fire in Europe and the Pacific. The Johnson M1941 was an unusual recoil-operated 30 caliber automatic that offered a quick-change barrel and a 20-round magazine or a 100-round drum. Reliable and handy for sustained fire, it nevertheless remained rare, seeing limited use with Marine raiders and some airborne units. Complexity, parts supply, and the availability of proven Browning designs kept Johnson production small. The Reising M50 was a lightweight .45 caliber submachine gun issued early to some Marine units. It was cheaper and more delicate than the Thompson and proved unreliable in harsh field conditions, especially in the Pacific mud. Because of jams and fragility, many units traded Reising guns back for Thompsons or locally adapted replacements. From water-cooled heavy guns digging in on defensive lines to stamped metal submachine guns in the hands of paratroopers, American machine guns covered every role in World War II. The M1917, the M19, and the M2 laid down the backbone of sustained fire, while the Thompson, the grease gun, and the bar put close range and squad-level firepower in soldiers' hands. Odd designs like the Johnson and Reising had brief lives, but they all taught lessons the Army carried forward. Which weapon surprised you the most?